Daniel Jeremiah, with whom I will be spending way too much time next week at the Combine, which starts next Thursday. The NFL sent out on its social media platforms today a rip of Derrick Henry working out at the Combine in 2016.
Oh, that must have been
incredible. It's great. There I am at the mic with Mayock and the rest of the crew, and it just says I do look forward to the Combine every single year, and it is one of those after 2 weeks of no football on the weekends, you just miss it. It's just one big convention of let's get back together and talk about all 32 teams. Daniel Jeremiah's got a new mock draft out.
Ooh.
And, it does not include trades. He only does that in his final mock draft the night before the NFL draft. And you should always pay attention to that because he nails stuff like, say, the Houston Texans trading up to the number 3 spot to go back-to-back and get C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson in back-to-back picks. He nails that stuff like that, for instance.
How do you come up with something like that?
That was sick.
You know why? Because he keeps his ear to the ground in all seriousness, if you were asking me that question.
Yeah, for sure.
He keeps his ear to the ground. He talks to everybody, and everybody picks his brain. When Mayock was in that chair years ago, who would fly Mike out to check out his draft board to say, what do you think? His former special teams coordinator with the New York Giants, Bill Belichick, used to do that.
Oh, word?
So, yeah, what coaches will reach out and scouts will reach out and general managers will reach out to somebody like DJ to say, what's your board look like? What do you think of mine? What do you think of this kid? What do you think of that kid? And so he keeps his ear to the ground and he gets this general sense of things and he'll throw it out there, which is why when his mock drafts come out, it's a needle rip off the record. Got to pay attention. At least I do because I know how plugged in he is. And he's got the Titans taking Abdul Carter first overall. And that would be a disappointment to Chris because you hope that he falls to New England.
Want him.
And he has Cam Ward going second, which is interesting. In his first mock draft, he had Travis Hunter going there and having Cam Ward drop to the Giants third overall. This time around, he has those swapped. He has the Browns saying, we've got to go for a quarterback when we're sitting this high and no Deshaun Watson next year. And you take a look at anybody who's over the age of 30 coming back from an Achilles injury playing at the quarterback position, it takes a while. And they've got Cam Ward going. He's got Cam Ward going to the Browns, Travis Hunter to the Giants, Will Campbell, the tackle from LSU, going to New England, and Jacksonville selecting Mason Graham from Michigan at the middle of the defense to round out the top 5, and the defensive tackle from Ann Arbor. And then he's got Shedeur Sanders landing with the Raiders, 6th overall. Tyler Warren, who I love watching play football at Penn State, although Mike Mayock had Colston Loveland, the tight end at Michigan, ranked higher on his draft board, as he was talking about on yesterday's program, the tight end spot. He's got the Jets going and taking Tyler Warren from Penn State, 7th overall. And then rounding out the top 10, edge rushers from Georgia and Marshall, respectively. Jalen Walker, Mike Green going to Carolina and the Saints. Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle from Texas, would be the latest addition to an offensive line in Chicago that, my God, needs help right away.
Rich, I think the ghosts of Kyle Brady will prevent Tyler Warren from going to the Jets.
You mean Penn State tight ends?
Just maybe.
That's funny.
That's interesting because that was the draft. 2 things. One, where Warren Sapp was available, and the Jets went ahead and took a tight end out of Penn State anyway. And if I'm not mistaken, when we had Jed Fish, the head coach of Washington football, in studio a couple weeks ago, he told the story about how his college roommate at the University of Florida was a draftnik who was hoping to become a general manager one day and was a diehard Jet fan who was livid about that Kyle Brady pick on the spot.
That's right.
That college roommate's name was Howie Roseman.
Oh, heard of him. Yeah.
So there's that. And the reason why I bring all of this up now is because I love talking football. And number 2 is, what did the Titans do with that first overall pick? Certainly if Cam Ward is expected to be first quarterback taken and maybe 2nd overall by Cleveland, is there somebody who falls in love with Cam Ward enough to call up the Titans to say, we will trade a whole bunch for Cam Ward to make sure we are assured of drafting him because you put us in the first spot? And then how far do the Titans drop? And did the Titans just say screw it and take Cam Ward themselves because Will Levis didn't show Brian Callahan and the new staff there enough last year to say, we're willing to stick with you. We're willing to develop you. We're willing to go with the ups and downs with you. You have been in our system for a year. Year two will be better for all of us, for you and us, and we will forego Cam Ward, and we will get a whole bunch of picks for trading out. Or do we go ahead and draft somebody who can get C.J. Stroud on the ground, Anthony Richardson on the ground, Trevor Lawrence on the ground twice a year? And if we finally start to win this division again, like we did in the Vrabel heydays and the other heydays back in the day, maybe he's the guy who takes Josh Allen down and Lamar Jackson down and Patrick Mahomes down. What do you do if you're the Tennessee Titans? And I am not in that building. I am just an observer. I would go with Cam Ward. I would say we don't want to be up here any longer. Or they do fall in love with Shedeur Sanders, with all due respect to Will Levis. I know we have these conversations over and over and over again that you have to be patient. You have to believe in your guy. They unfortunately didn't draft him. I don't know. I would sit here and say Cam Ward showed me enough to be a guy who, if I'm not mistaken, when we have Trevor Sikkema on tomorrow at Pro Football Focus, do you know who his comp is for Cam Ward? His name is Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh,
Really?
oh.
He looks at him like a Big Ben, big-armed, big guy for whom the play starts after he's hit.
Wow. Good comp.
And that would be his comp. And if he's a Ben Roethlisberger comp and
don't
can play
wait.
like Ben
Yeah.
and is physical like Ben and has that magic like Ben, how do you not hand his name in?
Turn the card in.
Right? How do you not do that?
Have to.
In this day and age where you need a guy who can take a hit, deliver a hit. And the Colts have one of those guys if he does have the abilities to become more of a professional, which is what you're hearing out of Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not sold on Cam Ward, I would trade the pick. You need a ton of stuff. What if the Giants fall in love with him? Want to trade up from 3 to 1? All you got to do is drop down. You get a little bit. You wet your beak a little bit more, and you still wind up with Abdul Carter. Maybe. I'm just wondering if we're going to see a ton of trades in the top of this draft.
Yeah, I keep looking at Las Vegas. I think I know DJ has them getting Shedeur at 6. I just feel like Tom Brady isn't there to wait and hope things happen. He's there to make stuff happen.
Meaning?
Moving up.
I don't know, man. I think they can sit there and get Shedeur
You
at
think
6.
so? Yeah.
And if they do that, if they just sit there and he falls to them, and Shedeur Sanders goes to the Las Vegas Raiders.
But then it's what are the Giants doing?
What a jackpot that would be.
Yeah, big time.
What an absolute jackpot that would be.
But then from the New York perspective, that's 2 years in a row
Correct.
the Giants pass on a quarterback and watch someone else take a guy to potentially change their franchise.
And how do they not draft a quarterback and go back into this season in the manner in which they did last year? And what do? That's part and parcel of the Giants will make their move in free agency first. You will. That's the crazy thing is the evaluation of the quarterback spot is coming fast. We'll be talking about this on NFL Network all next week. Daniel Jeremiah, yours truly, and the rest of the gang, is that the Giants will evaluate Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and if they dig one of them or both of them, let's just say they dig both of them, Then they sit there at 3, and one of them will essentially drop, one would think. Or if they fall in love with them, they don't have to move too much capital to go ahead and rip the knob off on one. But that would be this is just a fascinating part of everything about this draft that's starting right now. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.